Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks. As you know, in my living room I have a large video game room set up, and I have something a little bit smaller than that in this room now, in my bedroom. In the living room there are 5 different video game consoles that are set up in there, and in here we only have 4. I actually do have a duplicate Nintendo Entertainment System that is now having one copy of each between both rooms, so now I have one hooked up here, one hooked up in the living room. If I want to use one or the other for any purpose, I can do that. Or if eventually I move something else into the living room, I already have this ready to go. So, this is actually a smaller hookup than most of the other ones, but it actually does offer a lot of different game options on here. First, we have the Nintendo Entertainment System. You can see the blinking light now, so if I switch this over to Video 2, we got it on just the standard error screen. It's no big deal. Then we go over to Video 1, we have an option between 3 different consoles. Currently, it is set up for Channel 1 of the Wii, Channel 2 is for the Super Nintendo, and then Channel 3 is for the PlayStation 2 Slim. Now, I say slim because it actually does affect what games can be played on here, and I'm also going to talk about that a little bit with the Wii for this current setup. The PlayStation 2 Slim has backwards compatibility to the PlayStation 1, which means I could play 2 different consoles of games just with the PlayStation. That's pretty good, but now, if I switch things over to the Wii, you might see a funny looking thing on the menu. There's this one channel here called the Homebrew channel. And yes, I have... This is probably my 3rd Wii that I've ever had. It is the 1st generation Wii, but I got this used recently, and I have now hooked it up to have some emulation options. Currently, the best that it's doing, as far as anything emulating on here, are a couple of N64 titles. I'm still working on other games and other consoles that will be emulated through here, but for now, this is pretty good. So if I go through here from SD, I should be able, you can see a handful of games here that I've just added on. There are plenty more that I'm looking forward to, and I have tested a bunch of these. Some of them have a few errors, so I'll have to fix that in the near future. One of the best ones that has been working through here so far has been Super Mario 64.
It's me, Mario!
It plays almost exactly like the original title, and I think Mario Kart 64 is also probably the next best doing in here. But yeah, this is actually really cool. So, here's a funny thing about the emulation I've learned thus far for the Wii. If I have the Wii Remote still attached in here, you can see that it's set for Player 2. That's only because Player 1 is actually the GameCube controller. Yeah, I've mentioned before in my previous setup in the living room that I have a couple of extendable wires, so I like 6-foot extensions for the NES and for the GameCube. I do have one of the GameCube controllers hooked up here now, so if I go back into... Hold on. Try and do this with one hand. If I go back into the game, we'll now see that I can play this using a GameCube controller. I can play it with a Wii Remote, but it is a bit difficult. Like, anything that's directional related is actually controlled by motion control on the Wii Remote, but this works a lot better with just using a GameCube controller. Again, it is a little hard for me to do by holding it by one hand, but you get the idea, hopefully. And I do still have the option of going back if I press like 1 or 2 of these buttons together if I need to go back to the homebrew menu. I can also still pause the game. It works very well. I've already gone through, as you can see, 17 stars in the game thus far, and it's going pretty good. I will still have to test out the other games a little later on to see how they will do on the emulation. But I thought that would be a good option because there are some Nintendo 64 titles and even other console titles that I don't have, and if I can emulate them through the Homebrew channel, why not? And it also helps if somebody else is using the living room for some games, then I could still play a whole bunch of them through here. I may have some of the Wii games and NES games move into here eventually. I still have yet to figure that out. The cabinets underneath here are still trying to figure out the right things to put in that space. It currently has just like one box of Disney Infinity figures that I do want to move to the living room because that's where more Disney Infinity stuff is. But there's a quick look. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to leave Mario asleep now, and we'll see you next time with more videos.